Ms. Cristobal, what a heartbreaking story you've told us. 2.5 weeks in prison or jail for you. Were there any others in like circumstances that had been arrested by ICE or authorities for immigration issues?
Yes, there was many in the same situation. A lot of them ripped away from the comfort of their own home. A lot of them walking on the side of the street, and a lot of them went to their court date and got ripped away there. So there's a lot of people being taken by ICE.
You were pulled over for a traffic violation.
Yes, I was one that I didn't commit.
Mm-hmm. You came to this country at the age of 4.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the family discussion about coming to the United States?
No, I don't have any memory before the age of 7 or 8.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
So I look at your situation, and there's only one ray of hope in the whole thing. When you say your community rallied around you, even those who were maybe not politically on your side. Tell us about that.
It enlightened people from my community that this isn't an immigration problem. It's a human rights problem. There was a lot of conservatives who thought they were voting to get criminals out of the country and protect the United States. And whenever they saw that a 19-year-old student, active member of the community, was taken to a detention center, they quickly realized that it wasn't the right thing to do and that it was more a human rights issue rather than an immigration issue.
We hear so much reporting about ICE activities, some reactions, demonstrations, and I hope they're peaceful. But we don't hear enough about what you just told us there. This eye-opening experience where people who thought we were going after murderers and rapists and terrorists and mentally ill people who were going to do us harm, and it turns out they're going after a 19-year-old who likes to do running and is involved in school activities and working toward her degree. That, I think, is an eye-opener for so many people. It doesn't make sense. They wanted the members of the gang taken off the street, and instead they went after you. I'm sorry that you lived through this experience. Ms. Smith, this situation described by Senator Padilla is one that I've heard about in our state of Illinois, where people are responding to the notice of the court to appear. They're complying with what they believe to be the law of the land, show up in court, and if the charges, as Ms. Browne explained, are dismissed against them, it appears that they're arrested on the spot and taken away. Have you seen this yourself?
I've heard reports from my colleagues, yes, in Chicago, that ICE has been in the hallways of the Chicago Immigration Court with a box full of handcuffs, ready to arrest people as they leave their immigration proceedings. And so our clients are calling our office saying, what do I do? Do I go to my master calendar hearing or do I not? Do I follow the law and attend court the way I was planning to? Or if I do that, am I going to be arrested by ICE, and therefore now I'm afraid to follow the law the way I was planning to follow it?
An absolute catch-22. They tell you to go to court, you go to court, they dismiss the claim and arrest you on the spot. Franz Kafka would have a ball with this one. This is so awful, and what a miscarriage of justice that it's been. Ms. McCord, as we look at the options the President has turned to exercise the use of military authority here, what your argument is, we don't have the rebellion, we don't have the invasion, we don't have the statutory basis for the use of this. How and when do you think this will be resolved in court?
Well, we know that the state of California and Governor Newsom has sued the administration for an injunction to stop this. unlawful federalization of the National Guard and the use of the military. That hearing is scheduled for tomorrow at 1:30 Pacific time. The judge there knows that this is an emergency, and I suspect he will rule very quickly. But as you know, that will only be the beginning of this. This is something where we can expect this will go up and likely will eventually be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. They're finished with their normal calendar, but their emergency docket remains very active, and so it could be a matter of just really weeks.
So I would close before I turn over to my colleagues and say this. I'm frustrated by the fact that the president is doing this without legal or constitutional authority. I'm frustrated by the fact that we are in the minority in Congress and can't have a fulsome debate of the whole committee and the consideration of legislation. But I'm heartened by the fact that this president has lost over 90% of the cases which he has brought to court to try to enforce his executive orders. He's issued a record number, over 150 executive orders in just a few months, and I'm sure he'll continue to do that to flood the zone, as they call it. But the courts have responded, as I've said, with over 90% of the cases finding against the president, which is encouraging. At the same time, there are those who argue, oh, those are political judges. You hear that from the White House. The fact of the matter is, over 70% of the judges appointed by Republican presidents have been ruling against the president as well, 80% from Democratic presidents, so it's close. So I would just say, don't give up. Keep your wits about you as this terrible situation unfolds. My feeling for the victims, like Ms. Cristobal, is personal and emotional. But we've got to keep a steady hand on the controls here and move toward a constitutional resolution.